In this lesson, we are going to add some experiences to our destinations. Experiences are places you can go or things you can do in a destination. In our Destination Show component, let's add a new section with the class of experiences, and we will add a heading for our experiences. Top experiences in destination.name. If you are familiar with Vue 2, you'll remember that components are limited to a single root element, meaning having these two sections in the root of our template will cause an error. This is not the case in Vue 3, so we're good to go. Now let's quickly create an experience card component. We'll create a file under components called experiencecard.vue. And I'll paste in the markup for our card. As you can see, for each experience, we will display an image and the name of the experience. It looks like we'll need access to the experience data. So, let's create a prop to take in that data. The experience will be an object, and since this component won't work without it, we'll make it required. Back in our destination show page, we'll import the component, register it, and put it to use in the template. We will use v4 to loop over all the destination experiences and render a card for each experience. The key attribute is important here, as it provides Vue with a hint as to the node's identity and helps Vue optimize what it renders under the hood when data changes. We'll, of course, also pass each experience card the experience. Lastly, I'll wrap the cards in a div with the class of cards so that it will be styled properly. Now, let's take a look at what we have created. Great! Now we have some experiences for people to enjoy at each of our destinations. Now, let's add some details for those experiences. Let's create an experience show page in our Views folder. We will add a heading with the name of the experience. We'll also provide the image again, just like on the card. Lastly, we'll have a full description of the experience so the site visitor knows exactly how awesome that experience will be. In order to have access to more info about the experience, namely its description, we will need to import data.json so we can have access to the data. We will pass down the props of ID and a new one for the experiences, which we will call Experience Slug. We can then create a computed property so that we can search through all of our destinations to find the destination that is equal to the right slug. Then we can create another computed property called Experience so that once we have the right destination, we can search through that to find the experience that is equal to the experience slug, which we have access to through our props. Awesome. That should do it for our experience show page. Let's add a router link tag around each experience card over in the destination show page. This means we'll also have to move the v4 and the key to the router link. For the to attribute on the router link, the page we want to go to will be named experience.show, and the params will have the key of experience slug equal to the slug on the experience. Lastly, we'll need to register the route record over in router/index.js. I'll just register it right under the destinations route. The path will look like so. The name, if you remember, will be experience.show, and we'll import the component. We'll just cast the ID to an integer, as we did for the destination show page above. It's important to note here that whatever is returned from the props function is all of the props that will be passed to the component. So, in other words, Even though the slug and the experience slug exist in the path, they will not make it as params to the component with the code like it is. Let's spread the route params into the returned object so all the params will exist. Let's also do this in the destination show props function above. It didn't really make any difference because ID was the only prop necessary on the page. The slug was only for making the URL pretty, but we'll spread the props there just to make things predictable in the future. Awesome. Let's check it out in the browser. Clicking on an experience takes us to the experience page. Great, it works. Even though it works, I don't think it's the best user experience. We can make the relationship between the destination and the experience clearer and the user interface cleaner by showing the experience right in the destination page as opposed to clicking to a new page. This is a common pattern, and we call these routes nested routes. We'll turn our experience route into a nested route in the next lesson.